I'm Tom Wright, and I'm the co-adapter of Baal at Malthouse. Bertolt Brecht is obviously one of the most important artists of the modernist period and of the 20th century, but this play in particular is really distinctive because it's his first play, and he wrote the first draft of it when he was just 20 years old. So although it's wonderful to have a Brecht play, there's a particular distinction or attraction to this one, that you're seeing a young artist at the very beginning of their career with all of their sort of formal inventiveness and anger against the world. Baal's the story of a individual, a songwriter or poet, who's something of a cult figure for the young people of his area. What's interesting is just how archetypical this sort of guru, seer, hero, flawed monster can be. It's really interesting when you talk about Baal in the Room in terms of the way the character sort of powers through the play. It anticipates things like the effect Jim Morrison had in the early days of The Doors and the way in which he utilised his sort of poetic and shamanistic and sexual power. And we've talked a bit about Charlie Manson and the way in which he was able to, through the force of his personality there with the Manson family, start something that initially seemed kind of idyllic and sort of sexually liberating, and by the end became something horrific and ended in homicide and despair. Those kind of creatures inhabit the walls of our rehearsal room, both metaphorically and literally, and we've got pictures of Mick Jagger up there and Iggy Pop. And we've also learned a great deal about music. We've got amps and electric guitars on stage, and we're trying very hard just to keep the whole musical component of the show oriented around one electric guitar and one amp. One of the best things about this play is that it doesn't try to be pleasing or to be moral or to be politically correct. It's a bit of a mess, and as a result it has a kind of youthful energy that is really rare in contemporary theatre. The Baal Room is a fantastic room to be in, and it's very much dominated, as good rehearsal rooms are, by the personality of the director. Some scenes involve quite raucous parties, and so you've got perhaps some Kanye or whatever's on someone's iPhone playing through the system, and so the shouting ends up getting quite loud, and the whole thing ends up in a kind of near hysterical sort of farce, which then distills back into a beautiful moment of theatre. It's quite high energy, it's really exhausting, and there's an awful lot of laughter. And then at the end of a session it all finishes and they all go and play ping pong. It's obviously early days when you're in the middle of rehearsal, but I've got a feeling what Baal will end up feeling like is part sort of mesmeric gig, part rave, and part really interesting discussion on the idea of what it is to be an artist and sort of what the responsibilities involve. So you'll have moments in this production where you feel like you're watching something that's like watching a sordid party that you don't want to be anywhere near and you want to leave as rapidly as possible. And then 5 minutes later you can listen to sort of Baal sing one of his songs and think about the way in which sometimes the more depraved or dark sides of human activity can lead to the sharpest insights. And so there will be something seductive about its quality, but there'll also be something kind of alarming. There's a beautiful and deliberate offensiveness to it all.